Okay, so tell me a
Uh,
little bit about the project if you can. Like,
so my whole entire project, it's basically just me interviewing an adult who's older than me.
okay,
And
fair enough.
the first question I had for you was, what do you remember from ages 0 to 5? For me, I don't remember much. I don't
Well,
know about you. How much would you remember?
a few snippets of memories. Like I remembered, well, it's kind of weird. I pooped on the floor. I think that was when I was like 1 or 2 years old.
I
I
have
pooped on
core
the.
memories of that too, for some reason. Just me pooping.
It was weird. Like I specifically remember I picked it up and smelled it. A lot of her friends moved to Seattle. So I think what she was trying to do was try to move away from Hong Kong
Mhm.
uh, because of the CCP problem. You know, everybody talked about it. You know, the 1997 hand over to China kind of thing.
Mhm.
So she wanted to find some place to move, and then she had a lot of friends in Seattle. So she went to Seattle, visit some friends, and try to find opportunities to move. And then we also went to Vancouver. And I think that was a pretty bad trip for me because
Oh wow.
we
Really?
stayed at a house. We stayed at a friend's house. And the part that I remember specifically was I went outside of the house and I got bullied by a bunch of white kids.
Oh man. What year was this?
Yeah. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Okay,
So
four or
that was,
five.
yeah, so that was like
That's
1982-ish, 81, 82-ish. I don't know.
wow, that's crazy. Only 4 to 5 and you already got faced your first harassment by just white kids.
Yeah,
What have you done it before?
it was it was it was pretty bad because I was by myself for some reason. I just want to get out of the house, so I
Mhm.
went out the front door. On the street, a bunch of white kids, like no, not a bunch, like 5 or 6 maybe.
That's
They
a
start
bunch.
beating me up. That's a bunch. They start beating me up, kicked me in the head and stuff like that. I got so
Wow.
scared. I get back into the house. I banged on the door, but no one answered. So it was a pretty bad experience. And that was the moment that I vividly remember. Well, actually, I can talk a little bit about my middle school, like the secondary, like the first half of it. It's more like the middle school. I went from an English school to a Chinese school, like all Chinese schools. So basically, I had to like really pick up Chinese during that time. And I got bullied again because I don't really speak well in Chinese and people can't really communicate with me. They
In
don't
middle.
speak in middle school. Like, yeah, in middle school. Yeah, so it's kind of weird because people thought that I was being cocky or something because I don't speak that much Chinese. It's a schooling difference, basically. It's because I
Oh.
went to the international school. International schools primarily speaks English, and
Oh.
local schools they speak Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so that was quite different in a way because I had to readjust my language and learning and all that. I had a lot of trouble reading all those Chinese characters. I know a little bit of it, but not like extensively back then.
Not as
So
much as everybody else who's basically fluent. So I can understand the
yeah, so I had a hard time, and the reason why I got into the public school and not continuing into international school because my parents moved to the state when I was in year six. Six, they moved. It's a weird system because my older sister actually moved to the states earlier, and then the process was my older sister try to get my parents to go to the state first, and then my parents would get us, my sister and I, move to the state. And in this process, it takes a lot less time. Ended up because my mom was like, well, you don't know when will you coming over, so why don't I just dump you into one of those local schools for free? So that's what happened. So that's the transition to middle school, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then high school now. So moving on, moved to the state when I was 14. It was kind of like I got there like around December of my freshman year. So when I start school, it was like the second semester of freshman year. It's almost like, okay, I just spent 3 years learning everything in Chinese, and now I have to learn everything in English, and I have to adjust to a completely different metric system or measuring system. The Vancouver event actually affected me during high school because I got so scared of white kids.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Honestly,
so
really traumatizing event, honestly. I wouldn't blame you.
So what happened was I actually hang out with a lot of Asians.
I think it's one of the psychology things I kind of know about. It's like in-group versus out-group, because you guys both have that Asian identity. You kind of have like that experience of just knowing what the Asian culture stuff is. So you get the in-group. It makes sense.
Well, people got into close groups in high school a lot, and they don't talk to each other. It's almost like, okay, we are in this gang, and I don't want to talk to you guys, kind of thing. So that was quite different in high school compared to middle school or elementary school. Things got a little bit more competitive. That's how I see it. People don't really make friends outside of their circle. I think that's how I experienced it. It's almost like, hey, don't talk to that guy. They suck, you know. Or
was it like that in Hong Kong?
No, not in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, we don't really talk to each other that much because most of the time we just sit in class, and we're not allowed to move around in the classroom. We have assigned seat. Oh no! And we have to sit up tall, sit up straight, not talking at all. You know, there were no cell phones back then, so yeah, it's very disciplinary in Hong Kong.
Picked up community first or second?
After my bachelor degree.
You went to community for
associate. What for? Now, that's the fun question, because back then everybody just wanted a bachelor degree, and back in those days, people don't really care much about master degree. So I thought, hey, if I want to spend money on getting a master degree, why not get into something that I really wanted but didn't really get into, like at the UW. So I got into audio engineering. So that's kind of like working as a recording engineer, you know, working in studios with singers and that kind of stuff. And also got a computer science and engineering associate degree. Well, because of all three different degrees, it landed me a job at Microsoft.
Wow! Oh, wait, what year was this for when you got into Microsoft?
It was actually my second year at Shoreline, so that was like, okay, I graduated UW at 2000, so I think I got in at around 2002. Oh, wow. Yeah, so that was like the second year of Shoreline.
What was Microsoft like in 2002? Because one of my questions was talking about technological advancements in society. We're weaving it back in.
They were still developing, I don't know if you know this, but Windows Vista.
Vista. Yeah.
So
that was like their what's it called? Their Internet Explorer page. That was like their own little program for like antivirus, wasn't it?
No, actually, it was an operating system. There was an operating system before Windows 8, I think. My team was actually responsible for setting up the HD DVD standard with a lot of testings and all that. It was actually blooming with technology back then. So people got into like high definition stuff, other than like VHS, like videotape stuff. I do teaching like full time. So, but I'm not teaching like at school. I teach like music classes and stuff like that.
Oh, in Hong Kong?
In Hong Kong, yeah. So people don't start like learning music stuff, like extra curriculum stuff, until like in the afternoon. Yeah, it's not like a school kind of music class. It's more like private lesson kind of thing. Anything else?
Nope, that's about it. That was all the questions I really had. And after that, I'll scrape all that up for a 10-minute video for my side.